Hey guys, welcome back to the True Talk podcast. I'm joined again by my wife Dee.
Hi everybody, I hope you guys are having a great day.
The first thing I wanted to talk about was how the Masons are using Hollywood to spread their propaganda and manipulate the masses. You know, I've said this before, I've done a whole video, but it was actually the first video that I ever recorded for YouTube, and when I first started my channel, I was really new at it. I pointed out how Hollywood was completely being used to brainwash and manipulate the people. And you can see this a lot more now recently because they are pushing satanic morals and satanic values onto the next level now. If you check out the shows that are on Netflix, they have shows like Lucifer. They have shows like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. They have shows like The Inside Job. They have shows like Black Mirror that, believe it or not, depicts a lot of stuff we're currently dealing with. These are, in my opinion, Freemasonic shows that were created with the sole principle of spreading Masonic value. And it's not just these shows. These are the ones that are openly satanic. When I was a child, I remember watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but I don't remember it being at all how it is when I saw the new season that they put up. That new season made by Netflix, you can clearly see what the people at Netflix are up to. It was pure satanic. They were all saying Hail Satan. They were all clearly showing their admiration to Satan and praying to Satan, to Lucifer, and that is what they were basically promoting and showing us through their work. People might not believe that what they watch actually has a large influence on them, but it does. It's scientifically proven. What we consume, the media that we take in, it literally has a big effect on our minds and our brains. It affects the way we think, it affects the way we talk, and it affects the way we react to certain situations. The Masons know this, and that's why they make sure they make these shows entertaining, but also with an underlying message that's going to guide you exactly where they need you to go. They have plenty of shows that clearly depict their satanic alliance. Plenty of shows. And it's not just Netflix, it's all over TV. In one way or another, most TV shows are just pushing Masonic values. The values that they need for the new Masonic world. If you watch any of the big shows on Power, the ones that are by 50 Cent, he's not depicting any content that is actually going to help take his people out of the situations that they're in. He's glorifying the same exact violence and the same exact destruction they do in music, you know, and these are the shows that are getting shown to the masses and being promoted. Dee, you were telling me also earlier how there was this movie.
The movie's called Lolita, and basically it depicts a much older man who falls for a very younger girl. They try to promote this as something that's normal. They try to make it look okay. This is to show younger women that it's okay to be with older men. Like you said, they like to condition us by showing us these things and by pushing them in our face. We start to think, oh, this is normal. We've seen this before, so it's okay. So then that puts us to fall in line with what they want. It helps them further their agenda by conditioning us to just follow along with it.
Didn't you also tell me that the girl that was in the movie was underage when she was filming the movie, and that the main character was overage and they had some inappropriate scenes in the movie?
Yes, they did. They tried to justify these things by waiting a year to 2 years to release the movie. So by the time the movie was actually released, she was of age. And as far as the scenes, they claim, but if you watch the movie, you can see yourself, they claim that they used a stunt double, which there is not. They also claim that they put a pillow in between their lap to, again, justify their actions.
I pointed out before, like in the movie, I think it was called Blank Check. I covered this in the first video that I actually made for YouTube, like I said earlier. In the movie Blank Check, they have this child. He looks no older than 10, 11 years old. And he goes and tap kisses a grown woman. In the movie, it's still part of Disney brand. It's still, you can watch it on Disney Channel most likely, or on the Disney Channel app. You know, this is something that we know what's going on, but they don't want us to know that this is going on. Honestly, they do the best that they can, and they've been doing a good job at convincing people that the people that believe that there's something sinister going on are the crazy ones. They've actually done a great job because they say that this is entertainment, it's just art, it's just a movie, it's just a show. I like to think about it like this. The person that created the show, the person that created this movie, he had to be thinking these dark thoughts inside of his head. These are the ideas that he had within himself. He didn't have anything that was glorifying anything good. All he had was sick thoughts that he made into a film that you guys are consuming. It might be art, but in my eyes, it's just satanic propaganda. It's just another way to demoralize the masses who are consuming this garbage. These shows and these movies have one purpose, and that one purpose is to brainwash you. It's basically MK Ultra in a modern form. This is with the video games, with the TV shows, with everything that we consume, the music, the lifestyle. They're manipulating us and they're brainwashing us. It might not be as terrible as it was for those who actually experience the horrors of MKUltra, but we still have it pretty bad. We have to deal with endless propaganda being pushed out and people just literally losing their morals by living their lives because they're consuming all this stuff, not knowing how it negatively affects them, not knowing that they're truly being brainwashed, they're truly being, controlled. And I'm not telling people not to consume TV shows, but I always tell people that you must be aware of what you're consuming. You must be aware of what you're watching. There's a lot of people that tell me, I should not advise people to watch shows that don't glorify God. And like I've said before, it is not my place to tell people what to do and what to watch and or what to believe in. If a person doesn't want to believe in God, I can't tell them or force them to believe in God, because not even God himself forced any of us to believe in him. When he sent us down here, he sent us down here with free will. I don't have the right to tell someone who to believe in or what to believe in. So that's why I won't tell someone not to consume certain things, because that's not up to me. That's their decision. What I simply do is I point out what I believe is the purpose of these shows. I believe that the purpose of these shows is to manipulate you and to program you to go against your morals, to make you the type of person they need for their new Masonic world. A person who's much easier to sell out and just go along with whatever they say, who puts their morals aside to get their job done. And that's the world that we're heading towards. The next thing I want to talk about is why rappers fake their beef. To me, this is a very important thing because rappers have been using this stunt to manipulate the masses for years, to get people to spend money and to reinterest themselves into their careers. And this is what I think happened with the Drake and Kanye beef. If you think about it, Drake said several times that he looks up to Kanye. He idolizes Kanye and he wanted to be Kanye. I find it suspicious that they end up beefing when just a few days from the first time they started the beef, they were together in shows and they were together on Kanye's ranch where Drake was helping Kanye with some work. In my opinion, I feel like they orchestrated this entire beef to manipulate you guys into buying their records because it creates tension. It's basically like they do in WWE in the wrestling, how, they make these two people create a beef between each other and they'll argue and they have all this tension and then they'll make everybody want to tune in for the fight. And that's exactly what I believe that they do with these artists. When they suddenly start beefing, for no clear reason. Honestly, if you think about it, the whole Drake hiding his child from the world and Pusha T exposing it and all that, it all sounded so fake to me. To the average person who consumes hip-hop, they've already been conditioned to just consume it and not really ask questions. But me, I look at it from a different lens. When I saw this, I clearly saw what it was. It was just another way to convince you guys that you have to give them your attention, that they deserve your attention. You just have to look at it like this. The way I see it, Drake and Kanye started beefing when they were about to drop albums. The beef started to slow down again, that we didn't hear much about it. There was a few jabs here and there. And then guess what? It comes right back up again when they're about to drop albums. Drake even leaks a Kanye diss track that Kanye wrote towards Drake. How does that make sense? In my opinion, why would Drake leak a Kanye diss track that goes against himself, making him look bad? All of it to me just seems very planned and orchestrated. There's been a lot of situations like this.
No, of course, I definitely agree with you. Like the Trippie Redd situation with him and Tekashi, like they were friends. They helped each other get on. In order for them to blow up, they started that pretend beef. You know it's pretend because if you look at it, when people had real beef, like when Drake and X had beef, you guys saw where that ended. It wasn't we're trying to help each other get streams or sell records or albums. You guys saw exactly where that real beef ended.
Going back to the Tekashi 6ix9ine and the Trippie Redd beef, you had a good point there. It's crazy because Trippie Redd was one who got 6ix9ine signed. And both of them developed gang affiliations after getting signed. Trippie Redd wasn't even claiming the Bloods or anything until he was signed to a record deal. Same thing that I saw with Tekashi 6ix9ine, who was actually working as a bodega attendant. No street affiliations, but the record label saw an opportunity to appease to the gang culture, to appease of that desire of real gangsters in hip-hop, They used 6ix9ine and they used Trippie Redd and they made them go against each other, creating a false altercation, and creating a false situation, because by this happening, Trippie Redd gets the attention he needs and 6ix9ine gets the attention they needs, and it works successfully. If you see, they both blew up. They both became super successful. When their careers were kind of okay, they weren't really, 6ix9ine was nowhere, but Trippie, at least, he had a foot in the door. He wasn't showing much promise yet until that Tekashi and Trippie situation happened. These record labels orchestrate these beefs just like they would orchestrate a match in, like I said, WWE. It's literally entertainment. These guys are not going to see each other. They don't hate each other. They're working towards the same agenda. Kanye West and Drake are two of the biggest Satanists that you can publicly see in music, in my opinion. Drake literally calls himself the sixth god. Kanye West several times in his career called himself a god. These are two people that you can clearly see are self-worshipping themselves and convincing people to follow a Masonic agenda. It's very clear with them too. So I don't believe that they were ever truly beefing if they're on the same team. More like creating tension so that we can check in, so that we can spend our money on their music, so we can go check out their shows, so we can stream their music and continue to make them successful and continue to allow them to push their Masonic agenda to appease the people that are allowing them to be this successful. This is exactly the game that they're playing. It's fake beef. There's been many authentic beefs, and like recently we saw with King Von and Quando Rondo, where that situation led, because that was a real situation, you understand? That was real beef. The Drake and Kanye West situation is strictly to sell records. They're probably hugging up, laughing about it, collecting all the revenue they're making from their music. They probably have a close relationship, and they probably spoke about this and planned this, and it worked out perfect for them because they both managed to sell a ton of records, you know? They're both the two top selling artists. And we've seen this in hip-hop, like I said before, because 50 Cent did the same thing with Kanye West, if you think about it. They created this fake tension, this fake beef. 50 Cent said he'll never rap again if Kanye West sells more records than him. And then Kanye West sold more records than him. And 50 Cent still drops music. But guess what? They both sold a lot of records. They know that tension sells, just like in wrestling. They know that the drama sells, and just like in TV shows, they know drama sells. That's why they pump our entertainment with drama. It makes us want the drama as well in our lives when we're consuming so much of it. So that's why you see a lot of people that they're unhappy unless they're living a life full of drama and a life full of negative things happening, you know? Now, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the Young Dolph situation, because I wanted to clear a few things up. I know I made a video on Young Dolph giving some facts on why I believe, certain theories that were floating around weren't true. I just wanted to offer a little bit more clarification on why. I understand what you guys are saying about the star rings. Many rappers do have these star rings, and I'm not going to say that they might not have some significance, but what I was saying is I don't think it has anything to do with his passing. I don't feel like because he was wearing the ring is the reason he passed. I was trying to explain in the video that there's multiple artists that still wear that ring to this day. It's just a piece of jewelry, but it could have significance. Don't get me wrong. Everything they do has a meaning behind it. I do not think it has anything to do with his passing. Now, Empire Records and him buying Empire Records, that's another thing that doesn't also hold up. If he wanted to buy Empire Records could just say they don't want to sell it. I don't believe that they're a public traded company. I don't think it has anything to do with him trying to buy Empire Records, because Empire Records could literally just deny him purchasing it. I don't think that was it either. And, that's also a little far-fetched. I don't feel like Young Dolph was a big enough artist for Empire Records to have much motivation to do any of that. Young Dolph has also said multiple things in the past that haven't been true. He was claiming that he was offered a large deal. I don't remember the exact amount, but DJ Academics debunked this and said that that wasn't true at all, that there was no way that any record label would offer him that. And I believe that because Young Dolph is a popular artist in Memphis area, and he might have a few songs that has crossed over to other states, but mostly he remains a popular artist in Memphis. So most people around the world don't really relate or understand much of his music. And the record labels, I don't see the record labels jumping out of their pockets like that to sign someone that isn't, a global artist or a nationwide artist that is popular, all over the United States. A distribution deal is definitely a record deal. It's similar to a record deal. It's not exactly a record deal in the sense where he's not directly owned by a record label to say, but he is partnered with a record label, and the record label does have control over his career and how they distribute his music and how they're going to promote him. That's basically what a distribution deal is. They're basically aligning themselves with that artist, agreeing to help push further his career in order to to collect a percentage of his royalties, from what his masters will make, his music. When Young Dolph signed over is when his career really started to take off and he was able to do more mainstream stuff, because that's what the Empire side does. Empire Distribution, they will go and get him in conversations where he wasn't in before. The marketing strategy they would use to get him where he needs to be is completely different than he would be doing as an independent artist, because Empire has built and established themselves with multiple connections in the industry, and they're able to pull the strings and get things done to get Dolph where he needs to be. I believe that Dolph sold his soul to the devil for sure. In my opinion, he was showing us that. But do I believe that it had anything to do with what happened to him? It could have, but in my opinion, it leans more towards the street. His situation that he was having with Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta, something was bound to happen eventually. The back and forth that they were doing, and there was multiple times where this situation should have been de-escalated, but instead he would respond back to them after getting his truck sprayed, that he would make a song taunting them on why he was still harmless, how nothing happened to him, basically taunting the situation even further.
I wasn't too much aware of him, but after seeing your video, I'm much more informed, and you can obviously see that even before he decided to choose the music lifestyle, he was willing to sell his soul, because he joined the street and he was selling out. People have this misconception of the term selling your soul. It doesn't have to be to the devil. When you do something morally wrong and you know that you're doing something wrong and you're still okay with doing it, you're selling out, point blank. There's no justifying it. He was doing the same already out there in the street, promoting this lifestyle, trying to make it somewhere, which he did get, but everything has a price to pay.
Exactly, and I feel like that's exactly what he meant when he said, I sold my soul to trap. I feel like he was admitting that he knew by him being in the streets and trapping that he was selling his soul to the devil, because he was going against morality, going against his morals, going against being a good person just to fill his pockets with money. And I feel like he was okay with whatever the cost was, because he again admits he knew if he was sacrificed, will he go to hell? This was a question he was asking, because I feel like that's probably what he was feeling because of the situations that he was in and the positions that he was playing. Maybe before he had that deal, he wasn't really, rocking with the Freemasonic order, but he was still in the streets, and the streets are still owned by the devil. The devil owned the streets. So when people tell me, oh, that has nothing to do with the devil, that was the streets. In my opinion, the streets are owned and ran by the devil. The devil is the one that's in the streets. Me living in the Bronx my entire life until recently when I moved out, I can honestly tell you that that's exactly where the devil be. Them streets are cold and them streets are dangerous. People out there doing their worst, trying to get their pockets right, and I've seen this with my own eyes. This is exactly where the devil thrives, in the souls of the people that take the streets as their main objective to making money. They make the streets their priority, and the devil makes them a tool for the destruction of the people in their community. This is exactly what I think Young Dolph was admitting. Regardlessly whether you sell your soul to the devil and you make a deal with him, or you choose to sell your soul by committing to the streets and knowing what you're doing is destroying others just to fill your pockets, either way you sold your soul. Either way you need to repent, and either way you need to find a way to get right, because both of those ways are going to leave you in a burning end. Now let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about was actually, I saw a few of you guys commenting for me to cover the metaverse, and I actually started looking into it. I hadn't really been focusing on it. What I've learned so far is that it's basically a virtual world where people are going to be able to interact with each other and create, friends, and I think that this is part of the new Masonic world. I feel like 100% this is the next step in bringing forth the New World Order. 100%. They've actually been predicting this, like I was explaining earlier, how they use the shows to predict what's going to happen. I feel like they predicted this in the episode of Black Mirror. It was called 15 Million Merits. And in this episode, they show this exact concept. They were showing the people living in basically small little rooms, leaving those rooms and just pedaling bicycles. They show us this sort of metaverse where people are meeting with each other in a virtual world, and the real world basically doesn't even matter anymore. And that's exactly what I think they're trying to do. While the rich and powerful are living their best lives, the poor and undervalued are realizing that they're not getting the fair end of the stick. So what are they going to do? They're going to create a world where everybody is able to do as they please and have what they want, while in the real world, no one has anything but them. That's honestly what's already happening if you think about it. Majority of the money in our world is within the 5 or the 10% of the population, you know? The 5 or the 10% that really have all the money, they look at us and they know that we barely have anything. We're trying to get by paycheck to paycheck and pay our rent and pay our bills while they're over here deciding how they're going to spend $1 million. The way that they explain the metaverse is basically you'll be able to put on a VR set and jump into this virtual reality world where your friends can be in there as well. They're already showing how advertisers are going to be advertising in there. And that's, again, like I was explaining in the Black Mirror episode, they were showing this exact thing. You couldn't get away from the ads. This is exactly what they're trying to do here if you think about it. They want you to go into these virtual reality worlds where they have most of the control and they can show you exactly what they want to show you. They can disconnect you from reality, and that's exactly what they want. The new Masonic Order, they need to be able to control the population, and that's the best way to control us. If they separate us from living in the real world and put us in a place where they can have even more manipulation and more control, that's the best way to push towards their new Masonic world. If you guys want me to do a full video on the metaverse and look into it deeper and give you guys the dark truth on it, you can comment metaverse below. If 600 people comment metaverse, I'll definitely make sure I make a video on the metaverse. Now let's move on. The last thing I want to talk about is the spread of misinformation, because this is a big problem nowadays, and it creates a big problem for people that are seeking the truth, and even bigger problem for those that are trying to help people find the truth. Do you see with this whole Young Dolph situation? The way that people are going about it is not a productive way on exposing the truth. When I make a video, I like to research, I like to actually look into the situation, and I don't like to just say anything about a person, or I really don't like to say anything that others are saying unless I can prove it and have proof. A lot of times these people on TikTok are quick to just make things up just so that they're able to be the first one to talk about a situation, just so that they're able to collect the benefits of having a video go viral. And I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think that's actually a very destructive thing to do for the movement, because it creates misinformation, and misinformation spreads quickly, especially in the time that we're living. You know, now one thing is said and then 5 minutes later the whole world knows it, and that's a big problem. It creates this problem where the fake news starts overpowering the real. You understand? The people that are actually speaking actual fact start getting overpowered by the nonsense, and this is very damaging for everybody in the truth community as a whole, because the majority of people who hear that Young Dolph's passing has something to do with his ring instantly start to think, oh my god, these conspiracy theorists are the craziest people in the world. But that's the thing, that's just spread of misinformation, and the Masons know this. They love this. Sometimes they spread misinformation. They have people that act like they're going against the agenda but are really part of the agenda, like Alex and David. Both of these guys, you know, they're known for being conspiracy theorists and for exposing the truth, but in reality, in my opinion, they're working directly with the Masons. They're both being allowed to spread misinformation to throw people off. Misinformation, to me, is a very dangerous thing, because it can stop many people from seeing what's truly going on. It can stop many people from reaching that point where they're allowing themselves to wake up and see the world for what it really is, because misinformation would just make them say, oh, this is all crazy, these people are insane. So that's why we have to make sure that before we start to spread misinformation and tell others things that needs to be at least researched, that we take the time to research the things.
I definitely agree. I have personally fell victim of misinformation. I have learned my lesson, and now every time I see something, I go and I Google it for myself, because not everything you see on social media is real, is the truth, or is 100% correct. So you really have to dive deeper for yourself if you want to know if it's factual or not. You can't just see it and believe it in these days anymore, unfortunately.
And that's a very good point. People quickly will post it on social media, and then it'll get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of reshares. That's it, right there. That's how misinformation is spread. Every single person is now spitting the same exact nonsense with no one actually taking their time to check, do any research on it. And again, it's very dangerous because it destroys the truth, makes the truth sound unbelievable. People can choose not to believe what I say, but the thing is that I actually take time to research what I'm talking about. I don't ever make up anything that I'm saying. I repeat what an artist is saying. If an artist admits to selling his soul in one of his songs, and I pointed out, I'm not saying he sold his soul. That artist is saying he sold his soul. I'm just pointing it out. You understand? I'm not the one that wrote those lines or those lyrics for him or performed them. When an artist is in a music video and there's tons of, Masonic imagery and satanic symbolism, I'm not claiming that he is. I'm pointing out the Masonic and the satanic imagery. That to me proves he really is. At no point I want people to think I'm just saying things just because. Everything I say, I research. When I ask you guys if you guys want to see a video on such and such, it's because I've already been looking into him and I want to know if you guys are interested in learning his story and learning his effect on the music industry and how he affects the people that consume his music. The last thing I want to talk about was I've seen a few people in my comments basically telling me that I shouldn't cover artists. Honestly, on this channel, that's not going to happen because the majority of people that watch this channel are here because they're interested in knowing what the artists that they're consuming are truly spreading. A lot of people who would normally not be interested in any of this information or knowing the truth end up finding out that they really are interested when they click on one of my videos and they realize, wow, yeah, there is a bunch of Masonic imagery in this video. There is something satanic in the core of this video. And they start to realize it and see things differently for themselves. But I probably would have not resonated with them, or they probably would have not even clicked on the video if I would have been talking about something that they weren't interested in. So it's important to cover all aspects, including artists. But I do agree that I do have to continue to cover other topics because I've already covered many of the topics that have nothing to do with necessary artists. But the problem is that those aren't the videos that really do very well. And those are the videos that, don't get recommended on YouTube. They don't get many views, and a lot of you don't end up watching them because YouTube doesn't recommend it to you. And it creates a problem because if I don't grow the channel and the channel doesn't continue to grow, that means that I'm not getting to more people and more people aren't finding the truth. And my job every day is to assure that at least I get to a few people and show them what is going on. Well, that's it for this podcast, guys. Thank you so much for joining me.
Goodbye, everybody. I hope you guys have a great week.
And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching this episode of The Truth Is. If you would like to further support the channel, join me on Patreon. The link would be in the description. If you join before the 28th of this month, you could be entered to this month's monthly raffle, where you can win a shirt, a cash prize, and even pick a video topic. Also, please leave a comment below on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you like this video, please hit the like button, as this helps other people find these videos. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. Please follow me on Instagram at TheTruthIs01 and on TikTok at TheTruthIs. I will gladly appreciate it. Thank you. Goodbye.